Welcome back to our explainer on offshore project management. So you've chosen your contract model. Great. But what actually protects your balance sheet when execution gets underway? Well, today, we're setting an absolutely unapologetic baseline for commercial defense. We're going to look at the exact clauses you'll literally reach for when a multi-million-dollar project is under serious pressure. Let's dive right in.
Believe it or not, your entire survival playbook boils down to just 3 contract articles and 1 overriding personal principle. You really don't need to be a lawyer to manage a project, but you absolutely must be disciplined about these 4 elements. These are the exact tools you are going to need in your back pocket when things inevitably go sideways.
Okay, let's start with the first rule, which is Article 1, Independence of the Contractor. This essentially defines our fundamental relationship. Look, as the contractor, we are the experts, right? We're brought in specifically because we know exactly how to execute this really complex work. And because of that, we are solely responsible for the final result.
But, this dynamic completely cuts both ways. The owner hands over the objective, sure, but the contractor owns the method and the result. That means the owner doesn't get to direct our sequencing or micromanage our subcontractors. But here is the massive trap you need to watch out for. Because you own the method, you cannot hide behind the owner's instructions when something goes wrong. You own the method, so you own the outcome. There is literally no passing the buck here.
Moving on to Article 2, and it's a big one. Delay equals pay. Our price is built on a very specific assumption of uninterrupted and continuous site access. Now, that assumption is a pricing input. It is not just some courtesy. So when the owner or an owner-provided item suddenly interrupts your access, that interruption is absolutely compensatable. But wait, there is a massive catch here. Your entitlement to that compensation depends entirely on the record being made the exact day it happens. Let's say on day 1, your site access gets interrupted. By day 2, that delay needs to be contemporaneously logged. Honestly, a delay that you only notice and try to claim 6 months down the line is a delay you can never ever prove. It's just gone.
And that brings us to Article 3. Fixed price equals fixed scope. You have to remember that these 2 concepts are completely inseparable. If the price is fixed, the scope is frozen, period. You are drawing a solid, unmoving boundary around exactly what is being delivered for that specific lump sum. Anything that falls beyond that solid scope line is a change order. It's not a favor, it's not goodwill, and it's certainly not something we'll just sort out at the end. The very second you start delivering unpriced extras just to preserve a friendly relationship, you are teaching your client a really dangerous lesson. You're teaching them that the boundary is negotiable.
So let's put this to a real-world test. Imagine the owner delays your site access by 3 solid weeks, and you decide to just absorb it quietly. You don't log a delay, you don't raise a change order, mostly because you just want to keep things friendly. Well, what did that decision actually cost your project? I'll tell you right now, it cost far more than 3 weeks. Why? Because you just set a precedent. In any future claim, the owner's lawyers are going to point directly to this exact moment and argue that, well, since you didn't charge them last time, continuous access clearly wasn't actually material to your price. You really need to remember this. Contractual rights that you don't exercise are contractual rights that you gradually lose.
All right, which brings us to Principle 1. This is the golden rule that sits above every single article we just talked about. And it goes like this. If I don't understand it, I don't do it. This applies with absolute strictness when it comes to unknown local taxes, duties, and laws in challenging jurisdictions. Look, you can usually recover from a technical engineering error, but an unbudgeted local tax liability, that can easily consume an entire project margin. And the crazy part? Nobody in the room will have flagged it, simply because everybody assumed somebody else understood it. Think of it like sitting at a poker table. If you sit down at a game and you have no idea what the rules are, but you're surrounded by locals who do, the confident move is not to bluff. No, the confident move is to fold. In this industry, folding basically means either getting expert advice before you sign anything, or honestly just having the courage to decline operating in that jurisdiction entirely. Don't bluff a game you don't know. Just fold.
So there you have it. That is your playbook. These are the specific tools you need to invoke when the pressure is really on. Independence, meaning you own both the method and the result. Delay equals pay, meaning uninterrupted access is a priced assumption, but you have to log it contemporaneously. Fixed price equals fixed scope,
meaning any extras are automatically change orders. And finally, principle 1. You always have permission to say, I don't understand this yet.
We've covered the structure here, but ultimately it all comes down to execution. The framework only works if you actually enforce it. So I'll leave you with this one question to think about. When the schedule is slipping, the client is pushing back hard, and your entire project margin is quite literally on the line, will you have the discipline to play your hand by these rules? Thanks for joining us for this explainer, and I can't wait to see you in the next one.